All right, we're live. Periscope, YouTube. Hello, everybody. It's a Monday night. Welcome back to our beautiful podcast where we talk about all sorts of important things, like what flavor ice cream is good and who should be president next. Kidding. I don't care about any of those things. Hello, hello, hello. Hey everybody. Right, in case you're wondering why we chose this topic, Tom Cruise, Nazanin Boniadi, and the Church of Scientology. Hey Diacritical, in case you're wondering why we chose this topic, I just saw that Katie Holmes and Jamie Foxx split. Katie Holmes is the ex-girlfriend of Tom Cruise, and in fact, actually, they were married. So the ex-wife of Tom Cruise, actor Tom Cruise, and Katie Holmes for the past 6 years has been dating Jamie Foxx, and now they broke up. And since that happened, and right now it's trending news, I thought it would be a great time to focus a little bit on another relationship that Tom Cruise had, and it's very fascinating. So, all right, good evening, everybody. We're a little bit late tonight, but we're always late, so nothing new here. Okay, let's see. First of all, why did Katie Holmes and Jamie Foxx split up? So, Katie Holmes and Jamie Foxx were not married. They were just in a relationship. And the reason they split up was because Katie Holmes apparently found that one second. It sounds like he was cheating on her. She saw pictures, apparently pictures emerged. I might be saying this wrong, but it sounds like he was cheating on her. She's 40, he's 51, and that's all I know. Not a lot of reports on why. It just a lot of speculations. And but I thought that her previous 6-year relationship, so she was with Jamie Foxx for 6 years. She was with Tom Cruise for 6 years. Tom Cruise is the guy before this. And Tom Cruise has a very interesting lifestyle. Tom Cruise is part of the Church of Scientology. And let's see, is Tom Cruise married to anybody? Cruise girlfriend. Apparently Paula Wagner, if I'm not mistaken. But the girlfriend that I'm most interested in is Nazanin Boniadi. So Nazanin Boniadi is 40 years old. She's Persian, and she is, she left Iran right after the Iranian Revolution. And Diacritical says Cruise is still looking for the right guy. Ha ha. So Nazanin Boniadi, so she left the Islamic Republic of Iran right after it became that, right after the Iranian Revolution. And her mother joined the Church of Scientology, so she naturally joined the Church of Scientology. And she had some crazy experiences there, which made her, about 10 years later, leave with a splash. So basically what happened, this came out in a memoir. This, first of all, Leah Remini is the lady who talks about, she's like the ex-Scientology member who talks about it a lot. And so she writes about it. This is also in some sort of documentary. It was written in another book, and in one of the TV shows that Nazanin Boniadi, who's an actress, starred in. Apparently, that was kind of that. Her past relationship with Tom Cruise kind of came out, so you can. But she doesn't talk about it really. Other people talk about it. So this was around 2004, okay? Tom Cruise had split up from Penelope Cruz. She was dating, he was dating her then for 3 years. He split up from Penelope Cruz, and the Church of Scientology, which makes all the decisions, decided that he needed a new girlfriend. So they basically decide who you're gonna date and whatever. So they start vetting new girlfriends to date him. And he was high on the totem pole for, like, you know, his level of righteousness in the Church of Scientology. And I think a lot of religions are like this. A lot of hardcore religions are like this, where the more money you give to the church or the leadership or the religious leadership or whatever, the more money you give, the more righteous you are or whatever, or the higher status you have. So because the more invested the church is in keeping you inside of it. So Tom Cruise is considered within the Church of Scientology to have a really high status. Nazanin Boniadi, who's younger, she's not really so as well known as Tom Cruise. She doesn't really have as big of a career as Tom Cruise. She's considered lower in the totem pole in the eyes of their religion. So anyway, the Church of Scientology is looking for a new girlfriend for Tom Cruise, and they approach this woman, Nazanin Boniadi, who was at the time 35 years old, and or she was younger actually, but I believe, yeah, she was 35, and they go up to her and they say, hey, we have a mission for you, and you need to undercover. We have an undercover mission for you. You need to go and go and date Tom Cruise, become his girlfriend, and we'll tell you exactly what to do. And she says, but I have a boyfriend right now. She was dating somebody, and they basically convinced her to break up with her boyfriend, the person she was dating then, and they did that by convincing her that he was cheating on her and doing other things behind her back. And so they basically instilled distrust in her about her boyfriend then at the time, in order to break her and her boyfriend up so that they can set her up with Tom Cruise. So they do that. She breaks up with her boyfriend and listens to the church, because you listen to the leadership, and then they tell her to, it's a secret relationship. They tell her to go and date Tom Cruise and go and seduce him and try and get in with him, but they also tell her, she can't tell anybody about this, and she also has to report everything back to them. Anything that she sees, any bad behaviors, anything that he says negatively about the church, she has to go and report back to the leadership, back to the church. Okay? This is the Church of Scientology. So they would ask her, do you think he's happy? Do you think, one of them said, why don't you try and be more aggressive with him and put your hands down his pants when you see him? Be more seductive. And so they would tell her, like, exactly what to do, all these different things. And then after 3 months, of living together with Tom Cruise, Nazanin Boniadi was asked to relocate to a fancy hotel. This is according to Leah Remini. Okay, Leah Remini is the former the Scientology member who she's like the leading voice against Scientology today. Okay, so according to Remini, Boniadi was asked to relocate to a fancy hotel, and Tom Cruise did not contact her. She only dealt with the Scientology officials. They were the ones who ended their relationship without Cruise's direct involvement. So they were kind of like the matchmakers. So they set it up together. These people lived together. They were boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever. And then at some point, Cruise decided that, because also this is what was happening. So they were living together as boyfriend, girlfriend, but the church had a line of women set up for him. They were vetting. They had a whole line of women for him to date because he was higher in the totem pole. So he needed to have a pick of who he can date. So they basically had like, okay, try out with her. You don't like it? All right, we'll end it for you. So she never actually had a breakup with him. She never had like any sort of communication. He basically broke it up through the church. And honestly, it's crazy. If you guys look up Nazanin Boniadi, she's really pretty. She's way out of his league, in my opinion. She's like, she's well educated. She's got everything. She doesn't need this guy, in my opinion, if I had a talk with her. But it sounds like for a while after this, she was also hung up on this guy because she ended up going back to him later when he broke up with Katie Holmes. But anyway, putting this aside, so they relocated her to a fancy hotel, and they basically tell you where to live and everything. So she has no idea what's happening. She's freaking out. Cruise was also kind of abusive to her. He had a temper or something, and she just felt hurt by him. So eventually, she told someone in the community. She told a friend about what happened, and she was just feeling really hurt. She needed somebody to talk to, and the person that she talked to, that she thought was her friend, went and told the church leadership that she was complaining about them. So she was venting to someone she thought was her friend. The friend went and told the church leadership, and they decided to punish her. And so basically what they did was they moved her to a cheap motel, and then they told her for 4 months she had to do menial labor for the church. She had to dig ditches, clean public toilets with a toothbrush. For a while she had to like do all these things, and then eventually at each stage she gets to do a higher task. So she did the cleaning public toilets with toothbrush and whatever, and then eventually she was promoted to selling Dianetics book on the streets of Tampa. And they were in Florida, by the way. This is where Tom Cruise lives, also in Florida. She wasn't allowed to talk to anyone, especially not anybody in the Scientology community, because she was considered a traitor, because she said something negative about Scientology leadership. She was not allowed to go anywhere alone, unless either escorted by church security, the ethics staff, or a representative of the flag's president's office. So then soon after that, Tom Cruise started dating Katie Holmes. And that ended up in a whole nother crazy thing because, that was a whole... Katie Holmes and Tom Cruise split was a totally different thing. He tried to get custody of Surrey, of their daughter. And let's see. Some crazy things with Katie Holmes. She actually stood up to the church. Cruz's previous wife, Nicole Kidman, they split up in 2001. Nicole Kidman was the one who lost custody of her kids because she lost custody to the church. But Katie Holmes was more vigilant. She was like, no. She was a lot more vigilant. She didn't seem to care about the church. She didn't care about what she said about them. And she was like, and it's scary, people outside of it think, well, what's the big deal? Why can't she just stand up to the church? The whole world around it is not Scientology. Why can't you just stand up to the Church of Scientology? It's so small, and nobody outside of it thinks that they're legit, right? And I know a lot of people think that way, but the truth is, when someone is in it, that's their whole world, especially if they grew up in it, like someone like Nazanin Boniadi, she was in it since she was a child. Her mom brought her in it. And you can't leave so quickly, and you can't suddenly detach yourself from it. It's not so easy to be like, oh, there's a whole world outside of this. When it's your whole world, it's really difficult to be like, no, this is wrong, and I want to keep my daughter. Because, yeah. So anyway, Katie Holmes, and then, all right, go back to Nazanin Boniadi. All right, where were we? Okay. So the church was also doing like these audition tapes. Like they were vetting girls, so girls that have to send in like their, kind of like applications to date Tom Cruise. And the church was setting all this up even while Cruise was dating Boniadi. And anyway, so she left the church, and now she's an actress. She's doing everything. It was in a 2012 Vanity Fair expose on the Church of Scientology. Tom Cruise's representative told ABC News in a statement, "Lies in a different font are still lies, designed to sell magazines." Basically, the Cruises are denying everything, and the church is denying everything, and the church actually said in a statement, quote unquote, "She needs to move on with her life instead of pathetically exploiting her former religion, her former friends, and other celebrities for money and attention to appear relevant again." Imagine your church saying that about you, the church that you grew up with, and that was your whole world, and you didn't really know anybody outside of it, and that's everything. And it really gets in your head. So now, after all of this, honestly, like, when I read, because I've actually been following Tom Cruise for a while now, not so closely, but here and there I'll read stories, and I think his life is kind of interesting. I have lost so much respect for Tom Cruise over the years. Like, this guy just seems like an awful person, just also very close-minded, like really, really stuck in his little world of, and I don't even think he's a bad person. I think he's just so wrapped up in this religious righteousness, which is not even religion, it's like a cult. It really is. Like, I mean, I'm sorry if you're Scientologist. If you are a Scientologist, if you're a Scientologist. It seems like, I mean, you could be any religion and still be your own person, but it seems like Cruz, his identity is so wrapped up with the church, and he pays them so much money, and he's considered like the highest level at the church, and so like his identity is wrapped around that. He needs that so much. He's relying on that so much. He can't think anywhere outside of it. It's like a symbiotic relationship. He's so attached to that leadership and that whole and that whole existence. And they're so dependent on him giving them money, of course. And they even live in their own community, in their own houses, and a lot, again, a lot of religions do that, but anyway. And I feel weird. Someone is saying I babysat him. You babysat Tom Cruise? Okay. So, all right. Okay. Poser Index says he was studying to be a Catholic priest before he acted. That's interesting. Joe Anderson says John Travolta is Scientologist too. The truth is, I haven't really read about Scientology itself. For me, it was really just, because I don't remember how I got into learning about Nazanin Boniadi. I think just because she was Persian, it was interesting to me. I don't remember how. And then I learned about her relationship with Tom Cruise, and then I learned that she was Scientologist, which is so uncommon for Iranian Iranians, but I guess there are Iranians of all kinds of religions, so that's normal. I mean, that's not crazy, surprising. But now, Tom Cruise he moved out, and this just happened. This happened like yesterday, actually. Like it just broke yesterday, the news. Tom Cruise, he moved his entire family into a luxury Scientology apartment that is just for Scientologists in order to, quote unquote, to stop them leaving the cult like Katie Holmes. To stop them leaving like Katie Holmes. So Katie Holmes left the church, and so in order to prevent any more traitors, lucky Tom Cruise's wife, he's gonna do whatever he can to make sure you stay. Someone is telling me to say Iranian and not Iranian. I don't know. Is it Iranian or Iranian? Is it Iran or Iran? I'm used to saying Iran just because Iran sounds so weird. It's like, I ran to the market and I got these shoes and I had a funny day today and I went grocery shopping. By the way, just to get off track a little bit, I went grocery shopping today, and while I was at the market, I saw a family, and I was just like, I was stressing out about stuff. I was just like, whatever. I don't remember what I was thinking about school, because I'm in school, and there's so many, the cost of going to school is so high, and I was thinking about it. I was like, oh my God, how am I going to pay for graduate school? I have to apply to this scholarship and that scholarship, and I don't know if I'm even going to get any of them, and whatever. And while I was thinking, I suddenly saw a girl, like a normal looking girl, grown, pretty looking girl also. She looked normal, but she also looked pretty. Like, she looked like someone who could totally have been walking around and doing whatever. And she was just lying down on this cart. It was kind of like a I don't know what it's called, like a dolly? Is that what it's called? And she had her eyes open, but she couldn't move. She was like a vegetable. So she was totally frozen, but her eyes were open. So you could tell that she was conscious. So she saw things, I guess, but couldn't move a muscle. And it was really sad to watch. And her dad was just like wheeling her around everywhere. She was just like totally. And anyways, after that happened, I just couldn't. I was just like, what was I just thinking about? Because nothing feels stressful right now after this. Someone is telling me not to say vegetable. I tweeted about it earlier, and someone else was like, that's really offensive. And I was like, I didn't realize I say vegetable all the time, but maybe, I won't say it if it offends people. But yeah, she was just paralyzed. She's paralyzed. Her whole body is paralyzed. And I don't know. Like, not that it should make a difference in the way you react, but sometimes you see people who seem like their face looks off or their body looks off, and they look like, okay, you look at them right away, you're like, okay, that person has bodily problems or mental or some sort of problem. There is a problem with that person. When I mean problem, I mean some sort of disorder or something, like a health disorder. And then you're like, okay, it's really sad and frustrating, but you almost don't relate to that person as much because they look different. They look not normal to you, so you almost don't relate to them. But then it's even worse when you see someone who looks like you, who looks normal, who looks like they could be walking around and having a conversation with you, and then but they're still totally disabled and they can't walk around. And that's hard to watch, because then you're like, oh my gosh, that could be me. And the fact that I'm walking around and doing this and shopping and whatever is amazing. Okay. Someone here is saying that they were in a coma for 4 months. Felix says, Pardes, what is the Haredi perspective on disability? I don't know. I guess the same as any perspective on disability. Just take care of people, take care of people who are less fortunate, maybe make them food. Hey Dan, it's good to see you. Okay. Steven says it was probably a car wreck or something. That's possible. And she seemed conscious, too. All right. I'm just reading the comments, and we weren't in the vegetable section. We were in the frozen food. Was it frozen foods? No, it was in like the dairy section. It was in the dairy section. Maybe I will vlog shopping. Maybe I should do that. I'll vlog a trip to the supermarket. I've vlogged, and this is actually coming out. I vlogged my trip to Charleston. And, there's so much that I do that happens, but I just don't know what's interesting. And my friend was telling me about, I was talking to a few friends this past week. Some of them were considering starting vlogs of their own or YouTube channels or stuff like that. And one of them was like, well, I don't want to start vlogging or blogging or whatever because no one's going to watch it. So for the first, for a while I'm just going to be talking and whatever. Nobody's going to be watching. And what I said was, it's fine if nobody's watching, because eventually there's always going to be an audience for everything. Because at the end of the day, you're not doing it for other people, you're doing it for yourself. It's like a form of communicating. You don't tell people what they want to hear. You tell people what you feel and hope that maybe it resonates with them. So anyway, that's the approach that I'm trying to come at with vlogging. It's like, okay, I'll just show you my life, show you what's going on, and then you can see if that resonates with you. But you can also tell me what you want to see. It's fine. Rosemary says, I used to work with intellectually challenged clients. Sometimes you just sometimes you just do know what to do. It's unpredictable and it tests the deepest parts of you. Yeah. Another thing, Mike says, I'll bet DC's grocery prices are 3 times anywhere else. Yeah, I'm always pleasantly surprised whenever I'm in Philly or some other place in the United States that is not DC or New York or LA, and things are way cheaper, and I'm just like, oh my gosh, why do I live in DC? It's so freaking expensive. Everything is so freaking expensive. But at the same time, the salaries are usually higher and whatever, so I guess whatever. And another reason why I choose to live in expensive areas is that personally I shop online a lot, and when you shop online, it doesn't matter where you live, the cost of whatever you're buying is going to be the same. So even if you go to a place where business is not so booming and the salaries are not so great, you're still going to be paying the same amount for your whatever you're buying online. So for me, the idea is I'd rather invest, and for me it's like, I also want to invest in real estate. So I'd rather invest in a place that is more expensive, get more out of it, and still be paying the same price for the things that I buy, because I don't buy things in person. I buy groceries in person, but I don't buy like actual anything else. Everything is I get online. I don't like schlepping things home from markets, from stores. And Paul says location. I'm a big believer in living in a good location, because at the end of the day, you can just totally like just crush everything down. So going back to the YouTube thing, by the way, I've been talking to a lot of people about this, because a lot of people have been coming up to me and being like, yeah, I want to start a YouTube channel, I don't know where to start, I want to start a show, a podcast, and whatever. And the problem is not that there aren't enough talented people. Like, there are so many talented people out there. The problem is that they're too talented, maybe. Or that they try to be too talented. And they're perfectionists. There are a lot of perfectionists. Being a perfectionist is good, because then, you craft your art well, you can, I don't know, you want to feel good about what you're producing. But at the same time, a lot of these perfectionists are just not producing anything. And sometimes becoming a perfectionist happens, producing something perfect happens by just doing it and not being perfect. And eventually it becomes perfect. And so just keep doing it. Whatever you're doing, just keep doing it, and don't care if it has to be perfect. Because you might die tomorrow. Things happen. Things end, things burn up in flames. If you make something that's imperfect, it won't be the end of the world. You're gonna be fine. And so you might as well just keep doing whatever you're doing now, and eventually it gets better. The one thing that was stopping me from doing something like this before, or doing the vlog vlogs before. I mean, the one I actually have my vlog from Charleston ready, but it's like the only reason I didn't upload it yet is because I'm just like, this is so unprofessional. But that's the only thing that stops people from moving forward. It's crazy. It's not the thing that's stopping people is not being qualified or being too or being unprofessional or whatever. The thing that's stopping people is trying to be perfect. All right. Steven says perfection is the enemy of progress, and I hear that saying too. Rosemary says, I missed your piano bits. There's actually, the piano is, I don't know if you can tell. There's a piano right behind this picture frame. Or maybe I'll play it later. All right. Joe Berto says, I believe Pardes should have been promoted on Fox News. Thank you so much. Thank you for the compliments. I was not on camera at Fox. I was I was an associate producer, and I wrote scripts. So if I was promoted, I would have been promoted to like, I don't know. There isn't really anywhere for me to go from there, other than moving up to managing editor sort of thing on the show. Or maybe like even an executive producer, but that would be, I mean, that's like really far off. It would take like years and years and years from someone to go from associate producer to executive producer. It would be like, it's like a huge, massive difference. Like, it's like a little fish versus like whale. Huge difference. So there wouldn't, like, yeah. It wouldn't be like such a big thing for me to get a promotion in the position that I had. Unless it was that I became a commentator or something, or contributor, but I was not made for TV. I was made for YouTube, and I was made for YouTube and just heart-to-hearts and little clips online. I was not made for cable television, because cable television is just, first of all, it's scary. Even though I worked there, and I shouldn't think of it as scary, but I really do feel scared of cable television. It's just, everything is just so high maintenance. Everything is just, I don't know. I felt like everything was high maintenance. The amount of preparation that is needed for everything, and you just have to look perfect on camera. You have to know exactly what you're saying. Sometimes it's completely scripted what you're saying. I mean, if you're one of the anchors or hosts, I mean, everything is scripted unless you choose yourself to go off script. And then if you're a guest, it's not necessarily scripted, but you have to have all your talking points prepared in advance, and they have to know what your talking points are so that they can base their scripts on your talking points. I mean, that's how it works. The script writer has to know what you're gonna say as a guest so that they can base their scripts, the anchor scripts, on that. So I wouldn't be able to do that. I wouldn't be able to be as polished, and I probably wouldn't enjoy it, because I would be so nervous the whole time. I'd be like tapping my feet. I would be bored. Yeah. I like this because I can just say whatever I want. Joe says Pardes is made for TikTok. I love TikTok, and definitely recommend everyone to go on it. Okay. So I mean, Scientology really just does sound like a cult. No offense to anyone who's in it. This is the impression I've been getting from the whole thing. He has adopted children, Isabella and Connor. Bella was branded Scientology's poster girl after proclaiming in an advert for the London branch that it had saved her life. Who's Bella? Anyway, Tom Cruise has a daughter named Bella that the church might be planning to, let's see. Tom Cruise has a daughter named Bella, and this is actually pretty cool. Okay, all right. Okay. So remember Nicole Kidman and Tom Cruise. Nicole Kidman was a traitor to the Scientology community, and because she was a traitor, in other words, Tom Cruise is higher on the totem pole because Tom Cruise is the one giving money to the Scientology community. And then when they got a divorce, of course, Tom Cruise is the righteous one. He's higher on the totem pole, just like any other religion. No offense. Just like any other religion where the person who pays the most and has a higher status in the community is the more righteous one and gets custody of the kids. So that's what happened to Tom Cruise. He got custody of Nicole Kidman's 2 kids, complete custody. He got custody of Isabella. I mean, this is what they do to people. This is it's kind of sad. Anyway. Okay, so Isabella, Nicole Kidman's daughter, she's known as Bella. She wrote a testimonial about her training as an auditor within the Church of Scientology. She's 26. Her brother Connor is 24. And an auditor within the church is extensively trained to help other members through intense self-examination sessions with the help of an electronic meter called the e-meter. The electronic device called the e-meter. In her testimonial written for the London branch of the organization, Bella, who's 26, described the training as exactly what she needed. She said, this is what I had been searching for, the missing piece. Suddenly, everything began to make sense. So basically, it sounds like she's kind of spying on people. She's, it sounds like a mixture between spying and brainwash. She says, we all need to do this. It's hard work. It's a lot of effort. It's a few meltdowns and running to the bathroom to have a mini episode, but it is worth everything because you will get through. And she says, thank you to my dad for everything. And she also thanked her aunt, Cass, who's Tom Cruise's sister. She says, I would have drowned in my own problems if you hadn't been there to get me through the preliminaries. It took a whole family and an organization to get me here. And she also thanked the church chairman and the founder, Ron Hubbard. Ron Hubbard is a Scientology founder. So she also married. She got married. She's 26 now, so when she was 22, she married Max Parker. She launched a clothing line in February 2018 called BKC, Bella Kidman Cruise. And we actually don't know much about Nicole Kidman's relationship with her daughter. But there's also does seem to be a lot of an effort to control her so she doesn't leave the community. It really sounds a lot like most intense religious communities. Very, very culty. And it's true that most religions, any religion actually, any religion or ideology, I don't think it's unfair to use the word cult. It's offensive, but I don't think it is unfair I don't think it's unfair to compare religions or ideology to cult, because we all have religions, we all have ideologies, we all have our own belief systems, but every single one of our belief systems has the potential to become a cult. You can create a cult out of any belief system. So Scientology could have been like a regular religion if it wasn't a cult. If you didn't. Thank you so much, Steven. Okay. Steven, thank you for your super chat. And now I have to see what you said, because in the comments. Yeah, like, I don't think it's... Alright. Steven says, no particular message. Just enjoy Pardes' show in general. Aww. Thank you. I feel so mushy inside. So nice. Lesby says, a church cult claimed the e-meter was a masturbatory device. Lies. What? The e-meter? Oh my gosh. E-meter, Scientology. Oh my gosh. Okay, so the Church of Scientology has this thing called the e-meter. It's an electronic device for displaying electrodermal activity of a human being. The device is used for auditing in Scientology and divergent groups. The efficacy and legitimacy of Scientology's use of e-meter has been subject to extensive debate and litigation, and in accordance with a federal court order, the Church of Scientology now publishes disclaimers in its books and publications declaring that the e-meter by itself does nothing, and that it is specifically used for spiritual purposes. This is so strange. So what does it do? Such devices have been used as a research tool in many human studies and as one of the several components of the Leonard Keeler's polygraph lie detector system, which has been widely criticized as ineffective or pseudoscientific by legal experts and psychologists. Honestly, this whole religion seems like trying to control people from leaving and trying to find out, like, are they brainwashed enough? Are they going to try and get out? Are they going to leave? Are they going to know anything outside of this world? That's, a recipe for disaster. And it sounds like already they had nothing short of disaster. Electrodermal activity is a changing electrical charges observed on the surface of the skin. EDA meters were first developed in blah 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 blah. Okay, so Ron Hubbard, who's the founder of Scientology, he said in a lecture in 1952, this machine, the electropsychometer, has been acting as a pilot since about the 1st of January 1952. Very early, I wanted a pilot. I had to have some method of metering pre-clears, which was not dependent at all upon opinion or judgment. And I went out and looked at the existing lie detector equipment, and I could not find anything which would do a job of work. Now, Volney Matheson on the coast had out blah 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 blah. He said this machine is relatively simple, but it's a current floating inside another current. Alright. So I guess it's a lie detector. What do they try and find out? Are people saying bad things about the church? Are people saying bad things about each other? Other people in the community? In the Scientology community? Like, are people not following the rules? It seems like this police system that's got everybody distrusting each other. Everyone is distrusting each other. Everyone is going and telling on each other. It sounds like the job of Tom Cruise's daughter Bella is to be a snitch. That's her actual job, is to be a snitch, and she has this e-meter to help her do that job. It's kind of crazy. It's crazy to me. It's crazy to me that people will buy into stuff like this, but at the same time, it's not that crazy to me, because we are all on some level stuck in our own paradigms of how the world is. Like, I used to be very religious, and when I was very religious, I thought that things are that way, and I was trying to always convince people to be the way that I was religiously. And my family, we were always doing kind of outreach, religious outreach, trying to convince everybody to be the way that, and not forcibly, just like, just trying to spread that message out there. And then when I stopped being religious, then suddenly I would look back and be like, why did I think this way? Why did I want? And so, like, when you have that sort of experience where you really, really believed one way, and then your perception of the world changes completely, that's when you realize, like, okay, maybe we're not all that different. Maybe we are all stuck in our own, like, very closed-minded places. And I don't like to say closed-minded because I don't like to call people closed-minded, but, like, in our own paradigms of how the world is. Adam says, when I joined Scientology, they made me confess my deepest, darkest fantasies. My unhealthy infatuation with a weird Persian girl quickly came out. Are you joking? I feel like you're joking. I think you're joking. So Nazanin Boniadi actually left the church, and now she calls herself a non-practicing Muslim. That's her default, because her family was Muslim before they joined the Church of Scientology, and then so now she's not religious, but she's her default religion is Islam. All right. And she does a lot of, like, humanitarian work. I think you'll find her on Twitter. She does a lot of, like, she's kind of like Amal Clooney. She's like a younger version of Amal Clooney. All right. Okay. Anybody else have questions? Questions. I made a tweet earlier about how, like, I made a tweet earlier about this, about, like, kind of, like, related to religion. And as always, it's always better to say these things on the show instead of over tweet, because it's not always clear, and you can't edit your tweets and whatever. So if you're religious, don't I don't want to offend religious people in general, because really the way that I think is we're all religious in our own ways. When I say when I was religious, what I'm really saying is when I was a different religion from what I am now. Right now, my religion is totally different. It's basically a way of saying a way of life and a faith that goes along with it. So I was part of an organized religion. Now I'm not part of any organized religion, but I still have this, like, a worldview that I'm a little bit tied to. So my belief has always been just for people to keep checking themselves. Don't get too... It's healthy to be part of... It's healthy to be part of one set of beliefs that's going to keep you grounded and keep you healthy, and like, you know, it's very important to, actually, but at the same time, like, just always make sure you're checking yourself, because you never know. I mean, your beliefs can only get stronger if you keep questioning it. Okay. Steven says it may be too personal, so don't answer if you don't want to, but are your parents distraught with your becoming more secular, as it were, less orthodox? Oh yeah, my parents are really, my parents are kind of heartbroken over it. And I feel it's kind of like, I feel really guilty, and I don't feel guilty for not being religious anymore, but I feel guilty for my family, for making them feel the way that they do, because it's affecting my family worse than it's affecting me, because I'm basically just doing whatever I want to do. For my family, they have no choice in the matter. Whatever I do is affecting them, not by their choice. Whatever they do, whatever I do is making them look bad in the eyes of their community. It's affecting the way that they're viewed in their community, which affects, you know, it can affect a whole bunch of things. Marriage of my younger siblings. What if, you know, people care about all sorts of strange things, but it can affect different things. Maybe not on a crazy level, but on some level. And then it can also, you know, it also in their mind, I'm like, in their mind, I'm living like this really miserable life. And it is really hard. It was really hard to leave it was really hard to like suddenly be in the secular world and try and live in it. Dan says, your parents are very proud of you, trust me. They are really proud of me. I think it just makes them sad. I think it will take time until they realize, like, I'm really happy. And it's hard for people to believe it, especially when I've been religious my whole life, and like, how could she be surviving outside of this? All right. Dove says, ironically, one second. Dove says, ironically, I became stronger in my orthodoxy since watching your shows. Stronger in my views. I'm really happy to hear that. Thanks for telling me that. I'm really happy to hear that. I want you to be strong in whatever views you have. And sometimes I vent a lot about the religious community, and please don't take that personally. If it feels negative to you, then it's probably coming from an emotional place. If it feels just like, oh, I'm just thinking about the world, then it's just thoughts. But if it feels like, oh no, I'm throwing shade at the religious community, then that's probably venting, and you should not take that personally. Because I still have like a lot of venting to do. I still complain a lot. I complain a lot to my friends. I have a sister who's like very religious, and she lives in Jerusalem, and she listens to me vent all the time, even though a lot of it is offensive to her way of living, but she will put up with it, which is pretty cool. Oh my gosh, I think Joe Biggs is on here. Hey Joe. Joe Biggs is watching. Guys, most of you probably followed Joe Biggs on Twitter back when he had Twitter, and now he's not. Someone is asking if I'm Scientologist. Nope. I'm not a Scientologist. I never was a Scientologist, and I don't have any family members who are Scientologists. I was just telling a story about Scientologists. Anyway, Joe Biggs used to be on Twitter, and he was so funny. Guys, like, he was the funniest person on Twitter. Funnier than all these other people. Have you seen these, like, really funny people on Twitter that people are retweeting, like, oh, comedian says this and comedian says that, whatever. Joe Biggs, they didn't even call him a comedian because that wasn't even his official job. He literally just had a talent and he put it out there, and he is just hilarious. And anyway, he was so funny. He was getting so funny that his tweets were going viral, and Twitter just randomly banned him from Twitter. And the truth is, like, usually when someone gets banned from Twitter, you're just like, oh no, so sad. When Joe got banned from Twitter, I think everybody laughed because, like, it was funny. It was like, oh my gosh, Joe's getting himself in trouble again. But not that it's his fault. I mean, he was just being funny. But I think it was just everything that happened to Joe just seems funny because of the way that he reacts to it. He just laughs at life. And he just makes you laugh just by him laughing at life. He will laugh at his own misfortune. Something crazy will happen to him, and he'll just be like, oh, ha, ha, ha. And so it just makes you laugh. So, and I think it's pretty cool. I think it's pretty cool. Like, I've read stories about these big scholars or people who Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, he's like this Jewish scholar from many years ago who, like, there's a whole holiday based around his death day, and it's like a holiday where everyone celebrates and dances and whatever. And he said I don't want, like, this is taking a dark turn. I don't want to this is taking a really dark turn, and don't compare it to that. But he said, I want, when, like, this bad thing happens to me and I die, I want you to all celebrate, because I want my life, my time in this world to be celebrated with laughter and happiness. I don't want to be associated with negativity. And so this is like total separation and really bad comparison, but just because it's the one that we used. Joe Biggs' time on Twitter, him being on Twitter and then leaving Twitter, it was like celebrated. It came and went with laughter. There was no negativity. And so, but Joe is not dead. Joe is alive and well. He's going to be alive and well for a very, 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 very long time. And in his alive and well time, he is going to be, he has some really cool plans up his sleeve. I don't want to tell you because I don't know how much I'm allowed to tell you, but Jesus says Joe Biggs died for our sins. But Joe has got some really, really cool plans up his sleeve, and it's going to be really fun. I'm really excited. He's going to have, he might be having a show or two, and it's going to be really entertaining. I'm excited to watch. And he's still on Facebook and on some other platforms. I think on Telegram. Are you on Telegram, Joe? But anyway, I'll update you guys as things unfold. I will update you on everything. And 1 second, Joe, can I say which show? Okay. I'm just asking. You guys are gonna go nuts. You guys are gonna go nuts when you hear what Joe's about to do. Ira Gershwin says Loomer just did something with Jacob Wall. I don't know about that. I think Laura Loomer is running for office. But anyway, guys, Joe Biggs is actually Joe Biggs is actually the funniest person. And now he has a new Twitter called Bojigs. Oh, I'm not following you. I'm going to go and follow you. So Joe Biggs is actually not on Facebook anymore because apparently Facebook is scared of him being too funny also. So he's not on Facebook. He's not on Twitter. He's on Telegram, and now he is on Twitter, but under a different name. He's under Bojigs. Okay? And we'll end off with telling you the big surprise. Joe Biggs, bum-ba-dum-ba-dum, Joe Biggs is joining Alex Jones. Jesus got it right. Jesus got it right. Jesus guessed it. So one of the viewers on here guessed that Joe is joining Alex Jones before I said it. Good job. Yep. Joe Biggs is joining Alex Jones, and he's having a show, and it's gonna be insane. And I can't wait. I really can't wait. I can't stop smiling. It's gonna be really funny. So we'll keep you updated. I'm gonna try and get as much information from Joe as possible so I can tell you guys. And definitely be here, be there, and be square tomorrow night, Tuesday night. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Like this video, subscribe to my channel. See you all tomorrow night. I'm leaving. Don't miss me too much.